It's been just over a year since I reviewed the Tidradio Bluetooth radio programmer. Let's take a look at what's changed. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of electronic gadgets that catch my eye. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. I really appreciate it. In this video, we're going to use the BaoFeng UV-82 HP handy talkie, the Tidradio BL1 Bluetooth programmer, and the latest version of the Odmaster or Odmaster app to program the radio. By the way, the programmer and the UV-82 HB radio used in this video were both provided by Tidradio. As most of you know, programming a small HT from the radio's faceplate is not hard, but it can be extremely tedious. There are just lots of key presses to move among the menu items, make selections, and save channels. Programming a repeater into a little HT can involve dozens of presses for just one channel. For many hams who plan to fill in a number of repeaters plus other receive-only channels such as marine band or GMRS channels, using the radio's customer programming software or CPS and a Windows computer is much easier. Using the Chirp CPS, an open-source programming tool, is even better if your radio is included in the Chirp library. The big advantage to Chirp, in my opinion, is the ability to import channels from predefined listings such as marine band channels, NOAA weather channels, and GMRS channels, as well as importing repeater listings from sources like repeaterbook.com. If you're planning to add a bunch of channels, that's where I'd start. Now, between manual inputs and a CPS, Tidradio has come out with the BL1 Bluetooth programmer. This little dongle plugs into your radio using the radio's K connector on the side and links to your smartphone via Bluetooth. You use the Odmaster or Odmaster app on the phone to make your menu selections and to program your channels. First, a note about the BL1. In this video, I'll be using version 1 model of the device. Currently, version 2 is the model that you'd get when ordering. The two primary differences are the version 2 model moved the pins so that the dongle faces up instead of down. Version 1 sometimes had a fairly tight fit depending on how thick the connector was that covered the K connector outlets on the radio. The second big difference is version 2 model has a USB-C charger input instead of the mini USB on the version 1 model. The devices are available on Amazon for about $25 US. I'll have an affiliate link in the video description below. There have also been several changes to the Odmaster smartphone app since my original review. Two of the big changes are very cool. First is the ability to store your various radio's programming files in your Odmaster account online, on your computer, and on the phone. This account links your phone's Odmaster app so you can do the programming through a browser on a window in your computer, store the files, and then access them via your phone to update or replace your programming scheme wherever you are. Second is the ability to use your phone's GPS location services and call up a list of nearby repeaters and import them directly into your radio without having to use some other reference and a bunch of key clicks. This includes the repeater's call sign, input and output frequencies, CT, CSS codes, offset, the whole shoot match with just a touch on the import button. This makes it ridiculously easy to take your radio on the road with you, and with just a couple of touches on your phone, add that frequency to your radio to chat with hams in whatever city you might be visiting. What hasn't changed is the primary user interface on your phone. With limited screen real estate, there are still a couple of things that are a bit clunky, but they're so much easier than programming on the radio directly for all but the most basic tasks. The other thing that some have complained about is having to register to use the app. One of the reasons for that is that there are social media components to the app, such as messaging directly with Tidradio support and with other Tidradio users. The other reason for registration is that the app needs to know who you are to store your programming files and link them with your phone using the web-based portal. Almost all service providers require a free account to match your needs and orders, etc. So for me, this isn't a big deal. If your privacy concerns are greater than mine, use one of the many email accounts most ISPs allow, or set up a Gmail or Microsoft email account for some additional separation from your main email. With that overview, let's connect up the UV-82 and open the app and web browser and do a quick tour of the programming tools you'll have with the BL1 Bluetooth programmer using Odmaster. So this is the Odmaster main display that you'll get when you log into your account. You'll get the login screen first, and then you'll move to your account page, which is what you see here. Here you can see that you've got the index, and these are all of the radios that the Odmaster app supports. And in this case, we're going to be using my UV-82, so I've highlighted that. For example, if I hit BaoFeng up here, it would fill in all of the BaoFeng data files that I had saved. But in this case, just to make things simple, we've got the UV-82. This is it right here. You can see that I saved it on the 18th of August of 2022. And so if I want to make changes to that, I hit over here on the edit. Now, before I do that, let's just look at a couple of things here on the screen. So here, this just changes the width of this area over here. Here, it knows that I'm in English. Here, it's still got a couple of little Chinese characters, my account name, and here I can search, I can refresh. So if I had saved something from my phone and I hadn't noticed it here on the app yet, I could refresh and it would display. Here it changes it from just a list to a more detailed square of information, and it swaps back and forth. So now if I want to make an update to this, I've got this one highlighted. I can either hit update here or I can hit the edit here, and then it comes in with this display, which is my channel information. Now I have programmed a bunch of channels into the UV-82 to be able to show you what it has available here. So you can see here on channel 0, I left that blank. Channel 1, I've got the VHF call, I've got UHF call in channel 2, and then I've added several local area repeaters that I have available to me. Plus, I have some out of the area channels when I go camping, and here in Quartzsite when I go to the Quartz Fest Festival in January. That, for example, is the local simplex channel there for that event. And so I can give each of these channels a name that will display on the radio, and I'm limited here to about 5 or 6 characters. I think it's 6. So you need to get creative with your abbreviations so that the name means something to you, because I generally don't go by call signs for repeaters. For me, they're just too hard to remember. So here, when you add a repeater, you simply type in these boxes, these have drop-down boxes for decode and encode. These are your CT, CSS, and DCS codes that are available. Decode is the receive, encode is the transmit, and since this is a call channel, it doesn't have any. And here you can see various repeater CT, CSS codes. The power settings are all here. I've got them set to low. These are, easy to change. So if I wanted, this one is pretty close. I could set it to high, probably go through and set these to high. And then because this is the HP version of the UV-82, it's actually got 3. So, starting with high on most of these is what I'm going to do. But then I'm going to go back and change some of these to mid-level so that I can, not be putting out more power than I need to accomplish the task. And I'll make that change on the radio. And so I've got that all set. And now here I can move over to my optional features. And this one is the one that gives you some of the other things that are set in your radio. So I can set my timeout timer. I like that to be about 2 minutes. Squelch level 3 usually works. I don't use Vox. I'm going to want it to speak to me in English. I want my ABR to be 3. If you noticed on the tour, I had set it to off because I wanted you to see it on the camera. The power save is 1 to 3, and that means that it's just the number of seconds that the radio isn't listening, so it's not using the battery. You can change it all the way up to 1 to 4. So 1 second listening out of the 3 seconds selected. The scan rev really is the scanning mode. I like mine in the time operation. I don't use PTTIT IDs. That's more of a commercial application that's built in here into this radio. I don't put my keyboard or auto lock on. Busy channel lockout I tend not to use. I just listen. The beep is on the radio. Here are my color choices. I've got the squelch tail on. And then here are just a number of the other things that you can set. So that's the information that you can get here in optional features. This has to do with the VFO mode. I don't work in VFO mode. You can see that there's stuff here that you can set in terms of, where the frequency starts and that kind of stuff. But I just leave that alone. And then the DTMF has to do with sending codes when you push the alarm button or when you push to talk. And again, that's not a function for amateur radio that most people would use. Now that I've made some changes, and so I'm going to get ready and save it. And since this one was done on August 17th, and now it's the 18th, I'm going to change the date in that to 2022-08-18, and for the UV-82, so it goes in the right place, and I'm going to click Save. And so now you can see I'm in my BaoFeng one, and I've got the UV-22-08-18. If I go over here to UV-82, you can see that I have updated that, and that's replaced the old file. So, it's not saving, and that's okay, I guess. It'll have the last one that you've used without, cluttering your phone up with a bunch of files that you don't have. When you're making a lot of changes, doing that initial programming in Chirp is a great way to do it. That way you can save each iterative version in your Chirp file, and then you can make the subtle changes here where you're not having to do quite as much typing. So that's the Odmaster app here on the computer. Now let's turn to the app on the phone. And so in this case, you can see I've got it connected. When you press this when you first start it, assuming that you've got the Tidradio Bluetooth dongle in your radio, the radio and the dongle both turned on, and the volume set fairly high, it's going to give you the name of this device. In this case, it's Kit. I've got it set at 9600 baud, I think is what that number means, and I clicked turning it on and it made the connection. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and press the radio. So I've had this open so it came up as UV-82, but if you were starting from scratch, it would say select radio. And so I went to BaoFeng on my choices, and it gave me all of the BaoFeng models that this app supports. I picked the UV-82, it comes up there. And now if I'm happy with what I have in my radio and I want to duplicate it and maybe make some small changes, I would hit read and it would come from the radio. In this case, I made changes in the web portal, so I want to write to the radio. So instead, I'm going to go to Programs and Settings. I'm going to go to the Transmit Receive list, and you can see here is the cached version that I have from today's date. And now that is loaded into the program here, or the app on my phone. And so we know that that's good because if I look on channel 3, I can see that I have my frequencies, I've got my power set the way I have made changes to the radio a few moments ago, and I've got the Sun City repeater name there, which is what this repeater is on channel 3. Now, if I want to go to my functions, you can also see that I can make those A and B band VFO mode functions. Again, I don't mess with those. I don't mess with DTMF. But my timeout timer is now 120. My squelch level is 3. My voice is English, and so forth on down the line. So all of those changes that I made on the computer portal are reflected here now in the app. And if I wanted to make changes while in the app, I could update this file and it would update via the data connection on my phone back to my account on the portal. So that all works pretty slick. So I'm going to go back to channel and then I'm going to go back one more here and show you a couple of the things here at the bottom. So we were just in the programming mode here. If I go to offline, it'll tell me what I have had available. So I've been playing around, and so I've got two. I've got one made earlier today. This is that 818 one, and then one from yesterday. And then the one I have loaded, it came from online, and that's the 818 with the UV-82 moniker on it. So those are what I have available to me offline if I didn't have a data connection. The status button is just a way to see some of those social media things and make some comments or questions and so forth. Me is just going to be about my accounts and some information about the app. So let's go here to program again, and we're going to go back into program setting. And I want to point out the other cool function that is new here in these later versions of this Odmaster app, and that is this repeater list idea. And so if I click repeater list, the app uses the GPS function of my phone, and it tells me what repeaters are nearby. And so if I go up here, I can click and I just leave the channel function. I can go back. But if I go down here and then go to the 3 bars for, what's typically a menu icon, I can sort the distance. So I can go up to 1,000 miles. This is set for 100 miles. And I'm sorting by distance, but I could sort by frequency, call sign, or location as well. So I'm going to sort by distance at 100 miles. I'm going to confirm. And you can see then that I have all of these repeaters that are within 100 miles of where I am. Now, at the top of the list here, it says Phoenix Honor Health, Deer Valley, which is a hospital not too far from where I am, about 5 miles. And to import this into the radio, it's just so easy. I'm just going to import button. I'm going to scroll down to the channel, and I want to make sure it's an empty channel so I don't have anything down at the bottom of the list. So I'm going to import it to channel 72, and then I'm going to hit import. And now it's part of this program file that I'm going to write to my radio. Now I can validate that by opening up the channel, scroll down to 72, and you can see there's the frequency for that repeater, the CTCSS code, and the call sign for that repeater. And if I wanted to change the name of the repeater, I could just type in there and put, like HHDV for Honor Health Deer Valley, or whatever other kind of name makes sense to me. At this point then, I could write this to my radio, and you can see that the write is progressing across this little indicator right here. The green lights are flashing both on my radio and on my programming dongle. It's almost done. I can confirm that the write is complete, and then I can save this and I can give it a name. And so I'm going to call this 2022 8/18 test. I'm going to confirm that. It's successfully saved. If I go to my repeater list, now you can see that I've got the 2022-18 test is there, and within just a couple of minutes it's going to show up on that web portal index page as well. So that's how you do the Odmaster app together with the web portal to make this really an easy tool to have with you. I find the repeater list idea is particularly compelling if you're a road warrior, if you're driving a truck, or if you fly to various business locations and you like to play radio out on the hotel patio. Having the little Tidradio Bluetooth programmer with you, the Odmaster app on your phone, it'd be easy as pie to find a repeater that's close to where you are and join in the conversation there at that new city and get a chance to talk with other hams that you normally wouldn't interact with, especially here in the 2 meter or 70 centimeter area. Okay, so there you go. As you can see, making adjustments to the settings on your radio using the Bluetooth programmer and Odmaster app is really easy. When you add the functions found on the web portal for online storage of your settings, the very cool GPS repeater listing, and just the overall ease of use, the Tidradio Bluetooth programming dongle and Odmaster app seems well worth the money. The only caveat is that your radio must be listed in the library of supported radios. They're always adding to the list, but if your model isn't listed, it isn't going to work. Currently, most of the listed radios are either BaoFeng devices or those related to BaoFeng with alternative brand names. I hope you found this video helpful, and if so, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. 73, and thanks for watching.